Inside the Magic, show number 478 for June 3rd, 2014. It is Tuesday, June 3rd, 2014. This is show 478 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with a whole lot of Disney and theme park news and plenty more fun. Before we get to all of it, I invite you to visit our website at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, or anything else, you can always email me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Book your summer Disney cruise with Magical Travel and receive a shipboard credit to use while you are on your vacation. You can book now for the best availability and pricing by calling Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And be sure to mention Inside the Magic when you do that to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And thanks very much to Joseph Mayers for your donation this week and to all monthly recurring donation subscribers as well. And now, let's get started with our trip around the world. It's Tuesday. It's not Sunday. A couple of days delay, and that's because I spent all weekend, morning to night, at the Spooky Empire Mayhem convention out here in Orlando. Decided to really go at it this time at that convention, helping them out a bit, taking some photographs for Spooky Empire as well as covering it, of course, here for Inside the Magic. So I've already included a bit of coverage from the Disney side of things from that event over on our website. I'm going to be featuring some of the highlights from some pretty fun panels later in this week's show, all Disney related. I think you'll get a kick out of them quite a lot, even some stuff I haven't shared already. But in addition to that, I'm also going to be sharing even more of the, really Spooky Empire's events are supposed to be not so much Disney, but rather based on horror. That's really the center of it. Fans attend who are fans of all things horror, so if you are into that sort of thing, which is decidedly un-Disney, you're going to want to stay tuned to Outside the Magic over at OutsideTheMagic.com, because that is where I will be posting all of the rest of that stuff. So stay tuned for that. But before getting into all of that, now here we are, a week and a half of Disney news and other interesting news as well to go through. So we'll start off out here at Walt Disney World with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is officially open now. Back on May 28th, officially. It has made its debut with a small ceremony before the park opened. There was a ribbon cutting. In attendance were Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs, Magic Kingdom Vice President Phil Holmes was there, as well as some Orlando Magic basketball players, and some kids and adults from Big Brother, Big Sister were there as well to help officially open that attraction. Of course, I've already talked plenty about it, so I'm not going to say too much else here. If you haven't already heard about it or read about it, you can definitely visit the website, check our YouTube channel, or go back a couple of episodes and you can hear me blab on about it as well. It's a fun ride. Also, in regards to the opening, you can definitely head over to the website to see what that ribbon cutting was like. It was a pretty brief moment. Now, for something much bigger than that, a couple of things. One is, of course, Avatar is on the way to Disney's Animal Kingdom, and to make way for the big world of Avatar, Walt Disney World relocated the popular Festival of the Lion King show to a new theater, and that has now reopened. It reopened over the weekend in the new Harambe Theater, a new area of the Africa section of the park. The new area is not just the theater, but kind of some other surrounding themed buildings. Looks like it's been there since the park opened. It all blends in very well. Once you're inside the theater, it's pretty much identical to the old theater. It's almost like they picked it up and plopped it over there and made it look prettier on the outside. So Festival of the Lion King show is pretty much the same. It's just in a new location in the park. Meanwhile, at the Los Angeles Times Hero Complex Film Festival a few days ago, director James Cameron was there, and Slash Film, the very popular film website, was reporting that he talked a little bit about the status status of Avatar coming to Walt Disney World. In fact, he said that the name of this area is going to be Pandora, the Land of Avatar. He said we wasn't sure if that was 100% approved by Disney yet, but that seems to be the official name for the new area that's replacing Camp Mini Mickey at Disney's Animal Kingdom. More importantly, Cameron also said that highly advanced audio animatronics figures will be featured somewhere within this area. Let me read you a quote from James Cameron. He said, "The animatronics for the Na'vi characters are going to be fantastic. For example, their early animatronics would use 12 axis of motion, and I think the most they've ever done was 32 axis recently. I think they're up to 64 just in the face of the Na'vi characters." So there's James Cameron's take on what we can expect to see in a little bit in what apparently is going to be called Pandora, the Land of Avatar, when it opens in 2017. Much sooner than that, over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Star Wars Weekends continues to bring a lot of excitement to that park, and the most excitement out of all the Star Wars Weekends this year is coming up in just a few days, as Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, will be there, along with Ray Park, who was here this weekend as well, or this past weekend, and Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian, is going to be there as well. But now, here's a little bit of change that Disney sort of threw everybody for a loop. The Stars of the Saga Celebrity Talk Show takes place every weekend at Star Wars Weekends, and it normally features all of the celebrities that are there each weekend, hosted by James Arnold Taylor, voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars. Well, Disney has revealed that Mark Hamill will not be part of that talk show. It will only be Billy D. Williams and Ray Park. Instead, Mark Hamill's going to have his own 30-minute session called A Conversation with Mark Hamill separately. So if you want to see Mark Hamill, your only options at Star Wars Weekends are to see him in the motorcade and in that conversation with Mark Hamill. He's not doing meet and greets, he's not doing autographs, he's not doing anything else. That's your option. Unfortunately, FastPass Plus is already come and gone. It happened a few days ago at like 8 in the morning. It appeared and disappeared within a matter of minutes, naturally. So I will definitely be there on June 6th, which is the first day that he's going to be there, this coming Friday, and I will be capturing all of the excitement of that conversation with Mr. Luke Skywalker, and then you can certainly attend Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or all three, and if you don't have a fast pass, you'll just have to get there very early and wait in line. Those conversations with Mark Hamill will take place at 3 p.m. each day in the Premier Theater in that park. Now let's hop over to Universal Orlando. Certainly all eyes are on the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Diagon Alley, as it gets closer and closer and closer to its opening. The media preview is just a couple of weeks away at this point. Well, now Universal has released details on what the food and beverage options will be once the area opens. Of course, based on the Harry Potter books and films, they're importing ingredients from England. In the Leaky Cauldron restaurant, they're going to serve British dishes like bangers and mash, fisherman's pie, toad in the hole, fish and chips, something called ploughman's, which is imported English cheese, crusty bread, pickles, apple beet salad, and a Scotch egg. They're also serving draft beers, including special Wizard's Brew and Dragon Scale. Pumpkin juice and butterbeer will be sold there, as well as new beverages, fishy green ale, and tongue-tying lemon squash. Interesting. Over at Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor, there will be 20 unique ice cream flavors, including, yes, butterbeer ice cream. That's going to be a soft serve flavor. There will also be Earl Grey and lavender, sticky toffee pudding, chocolate chili, clotted cream, salted caramel blondie, apple crumble, strawberry and peanut butter, and orange marmalade, among others. They'll also be serving fresh pastries, scones, tarts, and sweet cakes. And then another place to get some drinks will be Eternel's elixir of refreshment. That will be serving quote-unquote magical elixirs. Imagine, you get bottles of water and you'd put those flavor packets into it. Well, this is the Harry Potter magical version of that, where you'll be able to get these elixirs called the Draft of Peace, or Babbling Beverage, or the Elixir to Induce Euphoria and Fire Protection Potion, and you'll add those to the Gilly Water to create some interesting drinks. So that's what you'll be eating and drinking in Diagon Gun Alley. Meanwhile, Universal Orlando has also announced that 3 new restaurants or venues are opening this month at City Walk. One already has opened just a couple of days ago. That's Menchie's, the frozen yogurt place. But coming later this month are Hot Dog Hall of Fame, which is from Steve Schussler, who also is behind T-Rex and Rainforest Cafe and places like that. That'll be opening, as well as Vivo Italian Kitchen, which I'm really excited about. This is an original Italian concept for City Walk. They're going to make fresh pasta there. I can't wait to try that. No opening date for those, but I'm sure it's going to be part of the giant festivities surrounding Harry Potter and Cabana Bay and everything in just a couple of weeks. And speaking of Universal Orlando, I was just there on a Saturday night amidst all of the Spooky Empire fun. I left there, the only time I left there really, I barely was even home, but I went to Universal to catch the second-to-last Mardi Gras concert of the year because it was Huey Lewis and the News, which I had never seen them live. Been a fan of their music for a long time. They were great. Of course, they played Back in Time from Back to the Future series, very fitting there in Universal Studios, even though the Back to the Future ride isn't there anymore, which is depressing. But so yeah, that was a fun concert. I actually shot some video of that song and took a lot of photos. So if you're a Huey Lewis fan, head over to the website to see all that. Now let's jump coasts, sticking with the Universal topic, over to Universal Studios Hollywood. Here's something pretty exciting that's going on this week. Universal Hollywood, for the first time ever, is allowing fans to choose the theme of a scare zone for this year's Halloween Horror Nights come fall. They're calling it the Choose Your Scare online voting competition. It begins tomorrow, June 4th, and will continue on their Halloween Horror Nights official Facebook page through June 18th. So you got a couple of weeks to vote, and then on June 19th, they will announce the winner, and that will become a scare zone for the event. I have shared some artwork of a character or a couple of characters from these 3 options that you're going to be able to pick from. They are called Corps, like Army Corps, C-O-R-P-S, and it's like zombified army guys. There's one called Masquerade, like masquerade, but raiding with masks. French theme, as you might imagine. Pretty cool looking. And then one called Ghouls, with a Z, like so many of their scare zones have had. So far, I don't think anyone's too fond of the Ghouls option, but the other 2 seem pretty neat. So you'll be able to vote, like I said, starting tomorrow for 2 weeks over on their Facebook page, and you can head to our website to see the artwork for those scare zones. Also coming up at Universal Studios Hollywood, and this is actually on the same day that the Harry Potter press event is ending out here in Orlando. In California, Universal Hollywood is holding an after-hours Transformers fan event. That's June 20th. It's $75 to attend, but it'll include special activities, panel discussions, and more. USHTix.com is where you want to go if you want to buy a ticket to that. If I was out there, I certainly would, because I'm a big Transformers fan, and it sounds fun. Now let's jump to another park that we're covering more and more lately, Busch Gardens Williamsburg. We've got 2 new articles up on the website. One, their Food and Wine Festival has begun. It's continuing on weekends through June 29th with 14 kiosks. Looks absolutely delicious. I have never been to that park, but I really want to. I've heard it's really beautiful. But we have a new reporter up there, Emily, and she has done a great job. Fantastic writer. If you read her article about the Food and Wine Festival over on our website, you're just going to be starving afterwards, because and our photos too, it looks absolutely delicious. In addition, their water park up there, Water Country USA, this is in Virginia, Williamsburg, Virginia. Water Country USA's opened a new water slide on May 23rd called Colossal Curl, and that also looks like a bit of fun. Emily rode that, and they shot some video of her sliding through, which is pretty amusing to watch. So you can head over to our YouTube channel or on our website to see that as well. It's fun to hear about other parks. Speaking of Busch Gardens, though, out here at Busch Gardens Tampa, where I have been many, many times, they, of course, were set to open their new Falcon's Fury massive drop tower a few weeks ago, but they've officially postponed that till what they're saying is later this summer to allow for further testing time. They're having some issues with it. They don't have an opening date, but don't expect it anytime soon. Meanwhile, the surrounding new area called Pantopia is already open. Now back over to the West Coast, to Disneyland, where it was announced this week that Disneyland and Run Disney will be coming together for the first ever Star Wars themed race. It's January 15th through 18th. It's called the Star Wars Half Marathon Weekend. There will be a Rebel Challenge with a special reward for those who complete both the half marathon and the 10K. There'll be a variety of races to run there. Along the way, you'll see Star Wars characters, Disney characters, and other entertainment. Then there's going to be a Star Wars Wookiee welcome party in Tomorrowland. Afterward, that will include character meet and greets, a dessert reception, and access to select rides. Registration for this event opens at noon Eastern Time or 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Tuesday, June 10th, 1 week from today. And I'm sure it will sell out very fast, as most Run Disney events tend to do, so you want to hop on there right away. Of course, Disney has also previously announced the upcoming Marvel-based Avengers Superhero Half Marathon Weekend, also at Disneyland, but that one's in November. So November for Marvel, January for Star Wars. The races just keep getting bigger and bigger. Jumping out to San Francisco now, at the Walt Disney Family Museum, they've announced they're adding a new interactive animatronic Barker bird on June 20th. It's donated by Garner Holt Productions, and those who visit the museum will have a chance to get hands-on, control the bird, and it sounds like a really excellent exhibit. So, and in fact, the Walt Disney Family Museum in general, just absolutely fantastic. If you have not been there, make a point. Go to San Francisco. It's a great city. You want to visit there anyway, but go to this museum. It is just a wonderful place. Now, we talked about Avatar earlier. Well, this isn't exactly Disney-related or Walt Disney World-related, but James Cameron has announced that they have signed on with Cirque du Soleil for a traveling show, a live show, based on the world of Avatar. So Walt Disney World's not going to be the first to get that sort of entertainment. It's going to be a Cirque du Soleil show. Should give us a vague, kind of, sort of, not really idea of what we can expect when Pandora opens in a few years. And of course, Frozen continues to be popular, and Disney continues to capitalize on that. The latest release from them is a new app from Disney Publishing and Walt Disney Records called Disney Karaoke Frozen. You can probably guess what it is. On the usual devices, you can find it in the usual app stores and whatnot. So if you like to sing along to the Frozen songs, go look for that. Now let's turn to the world of television, where it has been announced that Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD for Season 1 on September 9th. The bonus features that will be included in the release are Journey into San Diego Comic-Con. You can see, hop on the bus, as they say, and follow the cast to San Diego and see their first ever appearance at Comic-Con. I'm sure there's many more to come. In addition, there's going to be some behind-the-scenes reports, visual effects breakdown, some commentary, a gag reel, some deleted scenes. So fans of the show have a lot to look forward to there. And speaking of shows, Disney and Marvel are working on a Daredevil miniseries for Netflix, and it has been announced that the actor who's going to play Daredevil, it is Boardwalk Empire's Charlie Cox. Also coming to Blu-ray and DVD on September 9th, more from Marvel, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. And lastly, in the world of movies, Disney and Lucasfilm have announced additional casting for Star Wars Episode 7. It has been confirmed that Academy Award winner Lupita Nyong'o will be in the film, as well as Gwendolyn Christie, who you might know from Game of Thrones. So pretty exciting casting news there. Of course, they join the many other people that were previously announced, including Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and other returning and new cast members. And it's just the beginning of Star Wars news, I think. I know there's a lot of set pictures that are already starting to leak out, which drives me nuts, honestly. You know what, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This is not news, this is just me. Don't share this stuff. Don't be surprised. Just wait for the movie. Don't look at the pictures of the half-built spaceship or the random creature that's somewhere off in a distance under a tarp. It's why? Can you just wait and enjoy the movie? And if you really need to see it, just keep it to yourself. Click on the link, keep it to yourself. Don't share it on Facebook. I don't want to see it. Anyway, that's just my own personal beef with that. Anyway, that's it for your news from around the world this week. a fun tip sent in from Susan from California, who writes, here's a tip from a fireworks junkie to pass holders who visit the parks often. Instead of skipping the fireworks to avoid the crowd, try viewing the show from a different location. I discovered a great view of the fireworks at Disneyland behind the castle. You're actually standing between the high charges and the effects launched from the castle. You get the carousel in the foreground and a close-up view of Tinkerbell as she flies overhead. You have to turn around to see the high bursts, but they are unobstructed. At the Magic Kingdom on a crowded day, try the bridge to Big Thunder. I have viewed Symphony of the Stars from 3 locations this weekend, each with different experience. And great, Susan. Wonderful to hear such a sort of, I don't know, it's one of those things like fireworks. You're right, annual pass holders are like, fireworks, we'll just get out of here, or we'll go on a ride or this or that, because we've seen the show a million times. I mean, Wishes, I've seen that show endlessly. But it always surprises me when the fireworks come on and I'm in a random part of the park and I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting view of them. I haven't seen that before. It's a good way to refresh an old show that you might be tired of. So, good tip. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net.
Inside the Magic is proud to welcome you to the Great Movie Review.
The latest live-action movie from Disney, of course, is Maleficent, starring Angelina Jolie in that title role. Had a chance to see it a few days ago, and I'm going to warn you right now. Well, first let me say this is a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't seen it yet, don't worry. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. However, if you have seen it, I guarantee half of you that are listening to this right now are going to completely disagree with everything that I'm saying. The other half of you, you're going to agree with all of it, because that seems to be the reaction to this movie. It's very, very split. There's a lot of people who are coming out of Maleficent saying, wow, that was just simply amazing. And then there's the other half that are just simply going, that wasn't really the movie that I wanted. It was good, but not what I wanted. That's where I am. Maleficent doesn't live up to the name Maleficent. It's an entertaining movie, certainly. It's an action-packed movie. There's a lot of funny scenes, a lot of really great visual effects. The whole overall look of the film is wonderful. It doesn't really suffer a little bit here and there, but not so much, not overall. Alice in Wonderland, the live-action Alice in Wonderland recently, Tim Burton's had a lot of the sort of fake CGI look to it. This doesn't have that for the most part. Little bits and pieces there. But overall, looks very good. But the movie's called Maleficent, and I don't feel like this movie was Maleficent. The character and the story has been changed so much from what we know from Sleeping Beauty that it almost doesn't even resemble the same character anymore. And I've already gotten a lot of people, I've written this up online, and a lot of people have said to me, look, that's not the point. It's a retelling of the story. Well, or it's going back to the original Sleeping Beauty story. Well, no. Well, first of all, no. It's not, because the story is called Maleficent. The only existence of Maleficent, the original existence of Maleficent, the character, is the 1959 Disney animated film. It's not, yes, there was an evil fairy godmother of sorts in the original Sleeping Beauty story, but that's not Maleficent. Maleficent as a character comes from the 1959 film. So when you title a new movie, live-action movie, clearly modeled after the 1959 film, you take what was an amazing scene, the christening scene that we've already seen already. It's been in the trailers. What is it? The D23 Expo. The christening scene is wonderful. Probably the best scene in the entire movie. That clearly harkens right directly back to Sleeping Beauty. That's the movie that I think a lot of people, myself included, wanted to see here, was the live-action version of that film from Maleficent's perspective. Give her a backstory, show me how she led up to being Maleficent, and then where does it go from there? Even take it past the story of Sleeping Beauty. What happens, well, I guess it can't go too far past because the end of Sleeping Beauty, but, show the nuances, the parts where you don't see Maleficent throughout Sleeping Beauty. What did she do? How did she get there? That's the movie that I think a lot of people were expecting out of Maleficent. That's not the movie that's there. Maleficent's a very different movie. Maleficent, the Angelina Maleficent, is a sympathetic character. She's relatable. She's human, almost. She's not a human. She's a fairy of sorts, but she's sympathetic for sure. And they've retooled her story. They've given her such a sympathy. I hate to keep using that word, but it is the best word. You feel sympathy for her. It turns this Maleficent into a good person who has been wronged, rather than either an innately evil person or somebody who has grown to be evil and then stuck with that. If you watch Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent was never redeemed. Maleficent you don't know why she became evil from the beginning. She appears at this christening and she's just mad because she didn't get invited to the party, which is, that's a little bit silly, but you get a little bit more of that story, a lot more of that story, which I do like in the new movie, but where it goes from there, I was not too fond of. What irked me a bit more, and I don't want this to sound overly negative, because I did enjoy Maleficent. It just, these little tweaks throughout felt like the writer of this film just felt the need to jab at the original, like, oh, this happens in Sleeping Beauty, we're going to twist it over here. This happens in it almost follows exactly along with Sleeping Beauty, but at every major plot point along the way, they give it a little twist just for the sake of making it different. Like, there's not really a rhyme or reason behind it other than to say, hey, this is not quite the story you thought that you saw from 1959. This is our version of it. But it doesn't really, I don't know. It just didn't go where I wanted to see Maleficent, the great, big, amazing villain in all her evilness, and you got very, very little of that, unfortunately, in this film. Aside from Angelina Jolie did a good job, a great job at times with the character of Maleficent. She certainly was the best person to play this role. I just wish they had given her more to work with in terms of being a villain rather than the good person with evil tendencies. The fairies got renamed for some reason. They're not Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. They're whatever, and they're not quite the same characters. Prince Philip, not quite the same character. King Stefan, certainly, he's the worst of the bunch. His not only the character itself, but the acting, probably the weakest actor of the group in the film. And even Maleficent's bird, Diablo, has had a major makeover for this film that I actually kind of like. So you can change some things, and they work. And I kind of liked that, where that character went, although the name change was a bit unnecessary, I think. So, I don't know. I don't know how to come away from this film, because I had really strong expectations of what I wanted out of a film called Maleficent. We've known this character for years. We've known the version of this character that Disney created decades ago, and all of a sudden they've flipped that character around into being a almost completely different character. Now, you might like that. You might like this new take on it. It's kind of, many people have said it's the Wicked take on things. There's also, a little bit of a Frozen kind of element to this film, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of just, I don't know. It's not the film I wanted to be. I guess that's the best I can say. So if I were to throw out my expectations completely and I didn't care who Maleficent was in the past, I absolutely would have enjoyed the film. It's a well-made film. It's interesting. It's kept my attention the entire time. It's surprisingly short, only 97 minutes. But it looks good. It even looks good in 3D. I quite enjoyed the 3D. But being what it is, being called Maleficent, didn't quite work fully for me. So that's my review of the film. I would say it is worth seeing. Just don't go in with the expectation that you are getting the film about the villain from Sleeping Beauty. You instead are getting a movie about a character called Maleficent. Just not the one you know. It's in theaters now. Now I want to take you over to Spooky Empire's Mayhem event, which was held at the Doubletree Hotel just across from Universal Orlando. As I said earlier, it's largely focused on horror, the genre of horror, and movies and TV and merchandise and costumes and all of that based on horror. But in recent years, they've started to expand a bit to include more topics, like, as if you remember last year, the voice of Ursula, Pat Carroll, was there, and she did a wonderful job reading the lines of the ghost host from The Haunted Mansion. Well, guess what? She's back this year voice of Ursula, and had another really entertaining, wonderful panel discussion talking about her life, her career, and of course her role as Ursula and what went into that. And this year, she was asked to read a little bit more from the Haunted Mansion as Ursula, except this time it wasn't the ghost host, but rather Madame Leota. So here's what that sounded like.
The last time that you were here, we had you read a little bit from the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
The ghost host deal. There's another part in the Haunted Mansion that might be more apropos because it's a spell, it's an incantation. It's Madame Leota's incantation.
They know it better than I do. But it's beautifully written.
Why, thank you. I copy and pasted it myself. So if you would like to do that now, since we set it up.
Are you all fastened your safety belts?
Oh, yeah. Please begin recording now.
Serpents and spiders, tail of a cat, call in the spirits wherever they're at. Rap on a table, it's time to respond. Send us a message from somewhere beyond. Goblins and ghoulies from last Halloween, awaken the spirits with your tambourine. Creepies and crawlies, toads in a pond, let there be music from regions beyond. Wizards and witches, wherever you dwell, give us a hint by ringing a bell. That's it. Can you give us a little bit of that?
That laugh is absolutely incredible. It's fun. She was doing lots of autographs and photos and everything in the celebrity meet and greet room at the event, and every once in a while as you're walking around there, you would just hear that laugh. Because, it's a bit exaggerated. That's more or less her own actual laugh, which is absolutely hilarious. You recognize it immediately. So, in addition to that, of course, she talked about the character of Ursula and what she thought of that. And she said some pretty interesting and amusing things. So here's a little bit more from Pat Carroll. And I will warn you, sensitive types out there, in describing Ursula, she uses a word that is not exactly Disney or family friendly. So you've been warned. It comes within the first 15, 20 seconds or so of this. So anyway, here's Pat Carroll.
As we all know, and you are here, you are the voice of Ursula.
To get to do that voice. I can't think of a voice in either a straight film, an animated film, or anything that is as mean as that type of thing. I mean, is that the worst bitch you've ever seen? That's how and I adore her. When you think of it, nobody's bigger than her. Because physically, she's the biggest old cow you ever did see. She's got a huge voice. She's got, everything is over the top. But what a fascinating creature. I have had more fun with that. And to see children, because before the age of 7, kids are petrified of her. I would be too. You know, because she's so big. She's so big in every way. But after 7, they get the humor of her. The children do. And they aren't afraid of her anymore. But how fortunate are you as an actress to be able to play a character like that? You don't get those characters just regularly, Jim, like that, with all the dimensions to them. They're fabulous, fabulous.
And you've gotten to play her again and again in all kinds of different media since 89, or when you recorded it was 88, I think?
88, yeah, I think so.
And then you've done the subsequent sequels and the television
sequels
show.
And
the
games. We got a lot of Ursula games out. But I've just been so pleased to be able to play that character because she's multi-dimensional. She's got lots of edges. Lots of alleyways. And she can go any way you want her to go, but thank goodness they asked me to play it because I've had a ball doing it.
I watched a little video because when you were here last time, I think you took a detour and you went to Walt Disney World and you rode the ride there.
Yes, I did.
And I think that was with Jodie Benson. Was in the same part as you.
Jodie and I rode in, they put in a new Little Mermaid ride, and we did that, and we laughed and giggled and carried on like we were teenagers. We had fun.
One more snippet from Ms. Carroll to share. She was asked about working with the late, great Howard Ashman in the development of the infamous song that Ursula sings in The Little Mermaid.
I'm reminded of a story that I'd like you to tell about working with Howard Ashman, borrowing some of his phraseology.
Yes. Howard Ashman was the young gentleman, young gifted gentleman.
Hold your mic back.
Oh, there you are. Lovely thing was hiding under my scarf. Well, take a little nap now. Howard Ashman was such a gifted young man. He was the lyricist of the team that did, what was it?
Little Shop. What else?
About 4 Broadway shows.
Yeah.
Ashman was one of them, and Howard was the other. Yeah. And I have a suspicion from watching him that he did Ursula brilliantly. And I thought, well, do you have the guts to ask him if he would do the song for you? So in case he has added any little things of his own, that you could steal them? That's really what you're asking for, isn't it? So I thought, just be gutsy and go and do it, because if it helps you perform the song, anything is worth it. So I went to him and I said, Howard, would you please do me a favor and sing the song for me, because maybe there's something that you do that I haven't thought of and that might improve or enhance the song. And he was wonderful. He said, well, of course I'll do it. So by golly, he began singing the song. I stole about 300 things from him. The man just had so many little alleyways and nuances and emphases. It was emphases.
That's multiple emphasis.
So what do you have if you have emphases?
That's sets of multiple emphasis.
Oh, sometimes the teens get in the way, what can you do? But anyway, Howard sang a song, and I did get about 6 things from him that were absolutely perfect. But of course he wrote it. He knew what he was talking about. So what you hear in that finished song was stolen from Howard Ashman. But with his permission. I was not a thief in the night. So
then you call it a collaboration.
Oh, but that's lying. So that's the story about that.
You can catch Pat Carroll's full panel discussion over on our YouTube channel. Really quite entertaining. Includes a lot of Q&A with the audience, which is wonderful as well. But that was definitely not the only Disney-related fun to be found at Spooky Empire's Mayhem over the weekend. A couple of stars from the Pirates of the Caribbean film series were there as well. We had Lee Arenberg, who played Pintel of Pirates of the Caribbean. Pintel and Rigetti, he's the bald one, and not the guy with the eye falling out, but the other one. And then in addition to that, Martin Kleba was there, or Kleba. He played Marty, named after himself, pretty much. The really short part guy in the Pirates series. So the two were pretty hilarious. I can't share a whole lot from their panel discussion because those two swear. Well, they swear like pirates. In fact, the clip that I am going to share, which is a really interesting sort of behind-the-scenes stories from working on the film, I even had to edit out one swear word of this because it's out of control how much those two swear. But it's Spooky Empire, and that's to be expected. It is a horror convention after all. But anyway, so here are those two talking a bit about the making of the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
My story is like the luckiest break I've had in this business was they couldn't find Short, Bald, and Crazy in London. So, well, for real, because you think about it, how often will an American actor get to put on their accent? I mean, ever since Dick Van Dyke screwed it up for us with his they still make fun of it over there. I just was in England. The best compliment I ever got was that all the people in England thought I was English. And that was cool, because I knew that was the only way I could get fired from the movie if my dialect didn't match up to all the real Brits. But we had an amazing dialect coach on the movie, and no one else needed to work with him. So I just said, you're my dude for the whole thing, I'll take you. And, I had just a good enough accent to get it. And the whole thing of like the old, hello, Bobby. That was like, that literally came from up there. Because that was the first time I read it, that's how I said it in my mind, I didn't know how hot Kira was at the time, because I didn't know who he was. So that was the easiest acting I've ever done. Kira, for sure.
Now, I asked you about your frequently asked questions that you get at the table. There's one that is a unanimous.
Well, the number one is really an easy one.
Which is?
What's Johnny Depp like?
What's it like to work with Johnny Depp?
Yeah, let's say hey.
Yeah, okay. I like both of them, but...
Yeah, and we can say this, the Johnny, man, he's a class act. There's a rule in the film business that whoever the number one star of your show is, however their behavior is, that will dictate how the rest of us get to act. And Johnny's a classy dude, he's a super pro, and he's fun. He's just a cool dude. So, it's hard not to look at him and go, damn, you're good looking too. He's got that profile. He's just got that, I call it the ace face. But that's like an old time movie star. He just the camera loves looking at him.
Did you ever get a question like, so did you get to meet Johnny?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, I filmed the thing and then they seriously. I know there's somebody out here that probably asked me that earlier. Did you ever get to meet him? I'm no, okay.
Well, it's just that he looks so perfect that he could be CGI.
That's true.
What are some other questions that you get?
You get the one like, what was it like? The general. People are usually kind of nervous or they're excited they come to your table. My line for that, I have a stock answer. I go, well, man, I lived 2 years in the Caribbean, take a speedboat to work, and then hang with Keira Knightley all day. So what do you think my day was like? It's a pretty lucky job. Listen, we have one of the most shallow existences. We're in the ego business, right? So when you get you're asking the universe, let me recognize me, I'm so special, give me a great part in a movie. Well, if you get that, just make sure to enjoy it. Be thankful for what you have, not what you don't have. The easiest way to get an actor to complain?
Give him a job.
Give him a job. So just don't do that, man. That's the secret to the business. The other one is that they pay you for the waiting, and the acting is what you do for free. Yeah. So that's just how your mindset has to be when you go there, right? Our job is to be emotionally vulnerable when they say action, right? That's what the big bucks is for. For an actor that can be saying one thing with his mouth while his eyes say something different, right? And so you have to kind of keep yourself in that state of being ready. Especially on a movie like Pirates, a lot of times there's going to be huge stuff going on that you're going to be sitting in your trailer playing online poker and just waiting for it,
Oh, you were addicted too.
I wasn't. I used to play a lot of poker.
You guys did motion capture stuff, or was that all done after?
No, I didn't do any motion capture. I've done a lot of motion capture, and next week I'm going to do motion capture for Jurassic World, but the other guys are the ones who did the motion capture, all the crazy monster-looking things. They ran around in pajamas, so it was kind of hard to take them seriously. I had no idea what they were going to look like until the first time I saw the film, and I was like, holy, that was amazing.
Yeah, you got to understand too that with the first Pirates, that was the first Oscar nomination for ILM in 18 years. And the movies kind of changed the way visual effects are done now, because the computers, now everything's shot digitally. Like when we do Once Upon a Time, we have the Zeus system up there that James Cameron invented, where we're on the big green screen stage, like the size of this room. And we're able to see right away what the background is rendered. It feeds through the computer. And so actually on the monitors is the fully rendered scene. So you can walk over there and say, oh, that's what that candelabra looks like, or that's what the background's going to look like. That's where the window's at. Back in those days, when we did the first Pirates, they didn't have that ability. So every kind of digital erasing in the background was super expensive. They had to pick and choose their shots. And the building of the skeletal characters was literally like, we wouldn't wear any makeup, just our costumes. Say I'm in the dress and I'm fighting the dudes, right? I'd be in my dress, right? My corset, and I'd fight this guy, and then I would step out, and they would shoot it when he minds the fight, and then he would step out, and they would shoot what's known as a clean play, which is basically a locked-off camera, capturing all the light, all the shadowing, and they had this thing they called the dingus. That's what Gore called it. Basically an orb, a metallic orb that'll come in and capture where all the lights are, and they can see it, and then they go back on their computer and they can recreate it. And they would layer it. They would animate us, like Turkey Jerky was my skin, and they talked about it in the first DVD. They would layer it like old animation. By the time the second movie came around in 2005, the computers had advanced so much that they were able to have the guys in mocap suits. In the first movie, everything had to be locked off, lots of smoke, camera couldn't move in the shot, because it would mess and become way more expensive. By the second movie and then the third movie, they had developed it and advanced it, and now it's just kept going exponentially as the computer got more and more powerful. Like I said, they don't even shoot on film anymore. So it's all digital. They can manipulate all the images, and that's a good and a bad of what's going on in the business right now.
But the biggest draw at Spooky Empire's Mayhem event this year brought hundreds and hundreds of Disney fans to line up early in the morning to get into a special panel discussion with many of the major cast members from ABC's hit television show Once Upon a Time. In attendance were Lana Parrilla, of course plays the evil queen, Rebecca Mader, plays Wicked Witch, Sean McGuire, Robin Hood, Freya Tingley, who plays Wendy, and Jason Burkhart, who plays Little John. Of course, Lee Ehrenberg is in Once Upon a Time as well, so he was on this panel also. He plays Grumpy. And I have not seen Once Upon a Time myself. I know a lot of people have said, oh, you should really watch it. It's really good. I just haven't. I have no excuse. But the panel was quite entertaining. I did put a full version up on our YouTube channel, which a lot of Once Upon a Time fans everywhere are very, very excited about. Tons of photos over on the website as well from not only that, but meet and greets and photo ops and autographs and all of that. But I do want to share some highlights from that panel for you Once Upon a Time fans out there, you oncers, I guess, as you are called. Now, I'm going to warn you, this is kind of an extended clip, very entertaining. It's starting with talking about the introduction of Frozen to the show in the upcoming season. And a bit about that. I will warn you, this is there is the potential for some swearing to have leaked into this. I tried to find it and edit it out as needed, but it's entirely possible that I missed it because there was quite a lot of swearing going on. And as I said, Spooky Empire, it's a horror convention, mainly adults in attendance, and so that sort of thing happens even on a Disney panel. So you've been warned. If one or two words slip through, there it is. But anyway, here are some highlights from the Once Upon a Time panel discussion with the cast at Spooky Empire's Mayhem.
Let's talk about Frozen. Just to skip ahead, did they tell you that was the tag, or was that top secret until it aired? What did you know, and what can you tell us about your knowledge?
That wasn't even in the script. It wasn't. And that's what they do every finale, is they keep it top secret, even from the cast. So we have no idea.
Yeah, and it wasn't on the call sheet either.
No, it wasn't on the call sheet. It was like, I only knew that they were doing a hair test for some new character that was coming for the fourth season. And I had no idea who it was. I didn't know anything until I watched the finale. I learned at the same time I was doing it.
I had a bet with myself that it was Olympus, that we were going to Olympus, and I saw the blue was like Hades. Hades!
I mean, that was actually one of the cool things, because we had that screening. We do a screening at the end of the year where they'll show the finale, and we all get together, and it's at the agency of the producers. And Steve Perlman, who's the executive producer, he's kind of the one that follows your Twitter He's the one looking for any like gaps if you like spoil something. He was stoked because he was watching. He's like I do. I like watch the East Coast feed on my Twitter. Like I can judge by what you say about the different characters, whether you like my line or whether you like what's going down. But he was stoked. He's like, there was not one spoiler about that. And that's tough in this day and age to actually like even surprise us or surprise the audience. It's tough to do.
But our crew is really good at keeping secrets too, because they're kind of in the know. Because we need the hair person to do the hair tests. We need Eduardo Castro to create the costume. So some people know, but they really honor the secrecy, which I think is really cool. And
that was the same thing with like Bex's character, right? Like before you got there, the whole makeup test, the whole green thing, and that was like, that was super secret because there's people that'll watch on the set that are fans, right? Some of the people will come up and check it out, so you have to be careful because you don't want them to be spoiled either.
I had to do my hair and makeup test outside because I needed to be near where they were shooting. So they were all shooting a scene outside by a pond somewhere, so I had to go to them for it to be videoed, for it to be emailed to LA, for everyone to sign off on my green face. So I came out of the hair and makeup trailer with, you know, all the witch costume on, the green skin and the nails and everything, and they were like, okay, bend down. I'm like, for what? This is weird. Not, you know, this is a new job, interesting. And they draped a blanket over the top of my head, and I'm like, what's with the blanket? A bit weird. Then they like hustled me into a van, and I had to bend down in a van under a blanket. I'm like, where are we going? What's going on? I'm a little bit confused. But I just went with it. What are you going to do? They're paying me. So off we go in a van, and I'm under a blanket, and then we got to a lake, and I'm still under the blanket, and it's muddy, so I'm like sitting in the mud, and they had made this like black tent for me, and then I get in the tent, and then everybody was hiding like, welcome to the test. I'm like, oh, I didn't know where they were taking me. I was very confused. But everything was so top secret. That was definitely the best secret I've ever had. I couldn't even tell my mum and dad. My mum was so annoyed. Like, come on, tell me I'm your mum. I'm like, I'm not doing it, mate. So I didn't tell anyone. So when it finally came out, then because I love Twitter and I love tweeting, so when it finally came out, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm the Wicked Witch. So I just, good secret.
What are some of your favorite moments from the show? Shooting some of your favorite scenes?
I really liked, Lana and I had a scene right near the end.
Right before the
thing that everyone got a little upset about. Obviously, it's not made Marion's fault she came back to life. It really isn't. But we had we have a lot to shoot. It's like shooting a mini movie every week, and so we don't have an awful lot of time to indulge ourselves in terms of, oh, let me try it this way. We have to just shoot and move and shoot and move. But Lana and I had a really sweet scene. I think in the penultimate episode where we had a little picnic by the fire. We had a great director, whose name escapes me, Ron. Yeah, and we just, for some reason, we had a lot of time that day, and we really had an opportunity to kind of play it out and try it different ways. And Lana, not that it's a surprise to most of you, is an incredible actress, and she, every time we hit the tape, she did it a different way, with the same lines, and I as a fan, was sitting there going, wow, this is really impressive. I was like, shit, I should probably do some acting as well. I was sitting there going, gosh, she's really good. My line. That was really good. Kisser too, huh?
a bonus.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of my favorites. Rebecca?
Oh, one of my favourite scenes was at the beginning of 319, and I loved with all my heart being on my broomstick. I loved it. They got a body double for me, you know, same height, same hair, they dressed her up the same, and they were going to put her on my broomstick. No. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, we didn't know you would do it. I'm like, I want to do it. So I picked her off. I got on, and they put a harness this one and everything, and then the studio ceilings are so high. But there was this one scene at the beginning of 319, so I come from up in the air and came swooping down through the air, jumped off my broomstick mid-air, and everybody, all of these guys were in the scene, and then sort of landed and floated and carried on talking. And it was just one of these moments where I'm like, this is my life. I'm the Wiki Witch, I'm on a broomstick, I'm working with all of these talented people, and it's just in that moment I have never felt so blessed and so lucky, and I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. The most beautiful green woman on the planet. I love working with everyone here, but I'm going to take us back to season 1. Second episode. Working with Robert Carlyle. Oh, man, she is just fantastic. It was the scene where she wants to enact this curse, and it's a jail cell scene. I love Bobby. He is just so fantastic, and I do learn so much from him, but one of my favorite moments was when he grabbed my face. And it was almost as if we were going to kiss. And I just remember feeling like I was hypnotized by him. And something happened to my body, and I took this deep breath in. It was almost like I was inhaling him. And I was holding my face like this. And and it was very sensual. It was like a really sensual moment. And then I smacked his hand away. And there was all these beautiful colors, and there's so much to discover in these scenes when I'm working with him, and I'm working with a lot of people, but you know, we have, our scenes together are really special, I find. We love to play, and he's just so experienced, and so he's been a mentor for me. He's like my big brother on the show. So that's one of my favorite scenes, and gosh, I can go on for too long, because there's so many beautiful moments, like the scene with Snow, when the evil queen rips her heart out and puts it then back in her chest. I love those moments. These are the scenes that we're waiting for. And this season is sitting at the seance table, and Snow and Regina have that most beautiful, honest conversation, and they just have it out. And those are the moments that we want to see, that are not in the original stories, but have become it's our characters. This is the show we're writing, and I just love it. I love it, and I am beyond blessed. Beyond. I never imagined playing this part, and I'm fucking playing this part.
Favorite scene?
There.
I don't really have a favorite scene, but I definitely have a favorite episode, and that was Second Star to the Right, end of season 2. And I love that because it was my first opportunity to bring Wendy to life, and she just had such a bubbliness and energy to her, and I just love that. And obviously in the 3rd season she's not quite the same, you know, she's been in a cage for quite a while. I don't think you're going to be the same after that. But yeah, I love Second Star to the Right. It was when I got to work with Dylan, who's a lovely guy, and I got to fly, which was really, really fun. So yeah.
I mean, you know, for me, I've been really lucky too, because, you know, the dudes have really written me some cool shit. And that's the thing, like, I think for me, like, my memories, I mean, if I were to go, I have a lot of great scenes. Obviously, any part of that Dreamy episode for me was, like, super cool, you know? To get to play kind of a romantic character after 30 years in the business, being like a, well, I don't know, some sort of, like, guy who never gets the chick, you know? And that romantic storyline was the payoff for me as an actor, because, you know, it felt like, in the scene, it was not the Dreamy episode, but it was the one where I meet Snow White. And we're both in jail because we're in love. And we're fucked because we fell in love. And then we sort of bond. We don't like each other, you know, at first. And then there's the scene when she's now had her heart busted and there's the dwarves waiting to take her home, right? And it's the scene that we have on this road, and they lit it so beautifully. And our crew is just amazing. Our DP, Steve Jackson, he knows how to light. And it was just a beautiful scene, and you could just feel it was evocative. And I have this line to her where she's going to take this potion and wipe out her memory. And I say to her, I need my pain, because it makes me who I am. It makes me grumpy, you know? As if like, you know, and it's a beautiful moment for me as an artist, because it's like, dude, I have a heart. And I'm a crusty fucker because of that. You know? And it sets you up. It sets me up for the rest of time. Because I've established it with you guys that really there's something underneath it. So then the next time they give me like, oh, she could have had a monkey baby, you know? What's wrong with monkeys? Well, you know, I like monkeys.
Is that true? Do you like monkeys?
I actually don't.
Jason, before we get to Jason, my favorite scene is where I get to see you again. And that you're not dead. That you're not a dead monkey.
Yeah, I was really nervous when I got turned into a monkey because I'm like, am I ever coming back? So I was nervous. I'm like, I really hope they write me back in, and I was really sweating it for a bit.
God, that rent needs to get paid.
Yeah. But I want to be on the show. My favorite scene was when I got picked up by the monkey, running towards the Storybrooke town mine, and chasing that turkey. And when I got picked up there, again, it's all about the flying. Like, we love to fly, and we like to do our own stunts. But the cool thing about this scene was they rigged me up in the harness, they have a crane, and they put the $100,000 camera in front of me, and they go, just run as fast as you can towards that $100,000 camera, and we got you. We got you. Oh, really? And that's what they had to do. So I run as fast as I can towards the camera, and thank God they had me.
They told you to do it. If anything went wrong, it's not on you.
Exactly. But the camera would have been destroyed if I hit it. Like, I would have been gone. So that was my favorite scene, but it was also my worst favorite scene, least favorite scene, because I hate running. I hear you. That's fitness. So I'm like, hey, that was great. I'm like, oh, awesome. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And Sean's like, Jay, how you doing, man? Like, Sean's like, Jay, are you doing okay? Yeah, Sean, I got this, buddy. 2 days I can't walk after. Crazy.
You know they do have oxygen available.
If you do want to catch that whole panel discussion, head over to our YouTube channel, and lots more photos from all of what you just heard, and it will be at, or is already at, InsideTheMagic.net. Once again, more from Spooky Empire on the way very soon, including a Nightmare on Elm Street cast reunion, a costume contest, lots of merchandise, and a great Halloween museum, a great Bride of Frankenstein art exhibit, and much, much more for you horror fans out there. All of that will be over at OutsideTheMagic.com within the next few days.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show here, though I do have quite a lot of listener feedback I could be getting to. I'm going to let that pile up for a little bit for a future date where I have more time, because we are already over an hour and there's so much to come in the coming weeks. I have more events than I can even count. Literally, I have almost lost track of the amazing things that are going to be happening over the next few weeks. Attraction openings and hotel openings and special events and new shows, and of course that little thing called the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. It's going to be a pretty exciting couple of weeks coming up, so definitely stay tuned to InsideTheMagic.net, to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/InsideTheMagic, to Twitter and Facebook. Just add /InsideTheMagic to those. There's going to be a whole lot to share over the next couple of weeks. Of course, here on the podcast, I'll give you the summary of all of the best excitement from all of it. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. And might as well throw in a occasional plug for my own business, lanyardlab.com. That's the place you want to go if you're looking for custom lanyards. You know, those pieces of material you hang around your neck for use at schools, businesses, conventions, churches, any organization. Really, you can customize them over at lanyardlab.com. Get a free preview of your design as well as a price quote. Just submit the form on there and we'll get back to you quickly. So there's that. So that's about it for this week's show. As I said, so very much to look forward to in the coming weeks. It's always leading into summer is just one of the most exciting parts of the year in the world of theme parks, and it's no exception this year. So follow along, stay tuned, and I'll share it all with you. Thanks for listening each and every week, and have a magical week. Bye.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow just a dream away.